Nature has a way of drawing us in. Whether it's the peaceful rustle of leaves, the feeling of sun on our skin, or the simple joy of spotting wildlife, people love nature for countless reasons. Yet, not everyone gets to enjoy nature in the way they want to. Our What We Heard report found that access to nature is unequal. Many disabled people and people with mental health conditions face barriers, such as inaccessible trails, limited transportation, or a lack of clear information about where to go. Nature should be for everyone. By making outdoor spaces more accessible and inclusive, we can ensure that all people have the chance to experience the wonder, connection, and joy that nature can bring.
There's research that shows people that spend time outside in the countryside actually feel better about themselves and have a more positive outlook overall.
We know that being in green spaces has a huge benefit for people's well-being, as well as many other things, and being able to get people connected with nature has a real kind of positive to the site, but also to me personally.
The time that I spent going into the Lake District and walking up the top of hills and things, okay, I'm not going to get to those places anymore. But that doesn't mean I want to try and get as close as I can to that feeling again. And that means thinking about things and planning and saying, how can we, rather than don't do that.
The Access to Nature Change Programme came about actually in a different way to a lot of our other change programmes, and it didn't come from research but from conversations we were having out in communities. We were getting a lot of funding applications along the lines of accessibility and nature, and one of our colleagues decided to bring people together to find out a bit more. So we brought together a lot of the organisations who were doing work in this area, who wanted to know more, at an event in Slimbridge, which was attended by over 40 organisations in the end. At that event, we shared a lot of learning. We brought together some experts by lived experience and other organisations with expertise in this area. And we also found out a bit more about what people wanted to hear. That then led to the creation of a learning programme.
Yeah, so the learning programme lasted around 9 months, and it engaged 19 organisations that took part in 6 different sessions, and those sessions looked at different areas of accessibility, different focuses. We looked at things like clear and accessible communications. We also looked at neurodivergence and also how you involve disabled people in shaping your work and solving problems of access through co-production. So after the learning programme, we were really interested in understanding how Barnwood Trust could support the application of the learning. So we asked organisations what would help them to do that. So people were really interested in coming together, sharing, learning, problem solving together, but they were also interested in being part of a network or group of people that would help keep accessibility at the top of their agenda in their organisations. And so we came up with the idea of launching the Access to Nature Network, and that happened in February 2024.
So one example of work we've been doing is just here. So we've got tarmac at the moment. It's soon going to have a resin finish put down, and it's going to connect into some fine dust finish gravel surfacing, so that it's fairly consistent for wheel users in particular, and hopefully will survive the elements a bit better. We've really learnt the importance of talking to other people and building relationships with people who understand those needs a bit more.
So we got some funding and purchased this mountain trike. It's both a manual and motorized wheelchair, and the intent was to try and get people who have different abilities into the countryside using that, where a regular wheelchair wouldn't allow them access to the trails. And that's going to be on a loan basis for people to borrow to use within the national landscape.
We do a lot more scoping and mapping to make sure people with accessibility issues can go around the entire route. And we've done a lot more with digital, including doing virtual wellbeing walks and live streaming wellbeing walks as well. One of the big things we've also done is some social stories. So allowing people to see virtually where the site is, what the route looks like, where the toilets and parking and things like that are before they arrive.
The 360, you can actually work yourself around and work out whether there's space and whether there's a changing bench and a hoist and whether it's a H-frame or a single track hoist. So it's a lot easier for the carers to work out kind of what the day is going to be like.
We've introduced pre-visit information, so we have an accessibility map that's available on the website, as well as social stories. We also have sensory bags that are available from admissions, and we have been introducing SEND sessions as part of many of our events.
So we've worked with Inclusion Gloucestershire to create an access audit about 2 years ago. We then got a report from them, which was fantastic. The first page kind of highlighted how well we were doing already. And they set out ways that we could improve. Things like putting Velcros on doors so that when they slam, they're not making really loud noise in the toilets. And then some are to do with bigger projects, for example, new buildings, changing structure. So we've now got that feedback ready for when we need it.
Get somebody who has lived experience to share. There were so many things. There were so many times I've been told, oh, there's only one step, or it's only a small step. So it's about being upfront and honest about what places look like, but it's about getting somebody to come along and see from their perspective.
There's a lot of things that wouldn't have come to our mind at all if we hadn't built relationships with Barnwood, Inclusion Gloucestershire and those charity partners who represent different groups and work with different groups.
Speak to the people that you would like to come out on your walks and really understand what it is they need to be able to access it.
It's amazing to work with people who are all absolutely determined to achieve positive change, to be in that room with people that are working really, really hard to make nature accessible to everybody is a really wonderful thing to be part of.
So it's just getting people prepared to kind of ask the obvious questions and don't be frightened about asking, well, what would suit you best?
Ask questions, ask visitors, ask groups, find people who aren't coming and ask them. Finding out why people are here, but also why people aren't here has been so important to how we can make changes.
Starting by making a list, there will be some big things on the list, but there will also be some small, very achievable things that you can get done quickly, such as social stories, pre-visit information, can all be achieved very, very easily.
And we're learning all the time. So speak to your community who has that need and learn, and don't wait for perfection, because the learning comes from seeing what you can do more, do better.
We have met so many people who are motivated and committed to make nature more accessible in Gloucestershire, and we're excited to see this work grow.